Welcome to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is The Rider, Issue 1, starring Lighthammer. On the cover, we see starring Lighthammer written far larger than the series name. Lighthammer takes up the majority of the cover, posing for the audience with hammer held aloft. In the background, we see Rider Typhon, in full armor, lifting up a trapdoor and stepping into the darkness below. In the bottom right corner, we see a silver embossed logo in bold letters. Blockade. We turn the page and our story begins. Ryder has been, you've been just searching, like, what kind of connections have you been digging into to try and get information?
Ryder will have been looking into any connection he has at Saber, and he will be trying to connect with anyone who previously worked with Hayun. Yeah, he will be looking for anyone who's worked with Ryder Hayun.
Okay. Is Ryder the kind to go to the seedy bars and just ask questions himself if he's not finding much help elsewhere? Because Saber is not offering much help, and that is because this is a blockade issue. Saber has their hands full. The blockade has started at this point.
Right. As far as what he would go anywhere he could think that the villains would congregate, if they would. So he is not afraid to don a trench coat and a nice hat and and pop into a bar or two to see what he can find.
Let's establish that, like, you've been hitting, the seedy bars where the villainous folk hang out, and while questioning someone about Dark Rider, you saw someone very suspiciously get up and bolt, and we are going to come in kind of at the end of this chase. So we're going to set this, like, the first scene inside the Eclipse Mall. This shady-looking guy, and we're going to go straight up, put him in, like, a trench coat, has just, run into the ice cream shop. And, disappeared. The Cold War. And disappeared into a back room. And go ahead and give us the scene of Felix entering. Like, you're in civilian clothes right now, right?
I would be, yes. So Felix will enter I'm entering the shop, yes? Is that what you said?
However you want to, enter Felix into the scene. I think we get, a panel of the guy slipping into the front of the shop, and we see him going into, the back room. And then we get a panel, however you want to set it, of Felix entering the mall, the room, the shop, however you want to do it.
So Felix is still in costume, or Felix is still in disguise. So he's just gonna walk. He's gonna just walk in. You hear the ding-a-ling of the door, and he is standing at the entrance, staring across the room, examining the room. And is he gonna see anything in particular? Like when he enters it, I know it's kind of like a shady shop, but does he see anything in particular that would?
So yeah, looking around
as to where this guy goes,
the panel we get is this very, very rundown ice cream shop. Like, looking into the actual, what's called, the display cases of ice cream, over 2/3 of the flavors are just gone. They're just empty barrels at the bottom. There's one or two tables that are kind of crooked and leaning. There's a light flickering. And there's just a dead-eyed teenage employee that kind of stares. And he's like, "Hello, how can I help you?" And we see the door to the back room swinging just a little bit, as if it just recently been thrown open.
Ryder's just going to saunter up to or Felix is going to saunter up and go, "Who is that? And why was he running?" Like the teen might know.
The teen kind of turns his head just a little bit towards that direction, then looks back at you and goes, "I don't know. Hello, how can I help you?" In a very monotone voice.
Honestly, Ryder's just going to step around the counter. I'm going to step around the counter. I don't know if it's a lift arm or whatever to keep people out from behind the counter, but I'm going to step behind the counter and start walking back towards the door back there.
The kid kind of does the same, half head turn towards you and goes, "That's employees only." And then he turns his head back to the front and just kind of ignores you.
All right. So I'm actually going to walk right past him and walk through the back door.
You enter into a storage room. There's several freezer cases and a couple walk-in freezers. And the room is very still and quiet.
I want to take a look around the room specifically. and see if I noticed anything out of place. This guy just entered the room before I did, so he's got to be here somewhere. And I guess would that be a assess situation?
Yep. Go ahead and roll that. And while you're rolling it, in your like quick search of the room, you don't find any other obvious exits out. There's no like back door or anything. It just looks like the only door in and out of this room is the one you just came through. And on a 7, ask 1.
I'm gonna ask what here can I use to find the person who just walked in here?
While you're like inspecting the room, you kind of open up the freezers, take quick peeks inside. At a certain point, you glance down and you notice that like the plastics non-slip mats they have, one of them is clearly been moved because of the obvious difference in dirt from the edges of it, and it's clearly not in the spot it's normally been because there's like a clean spot kind of peeking out from the side of it.
All right, I'm gonna follow that trail.
You pull the mat aside, and after a bit of inspection, you find a crack, and you peel up at that crack, and the whole like a big chunk of the floor pulls up into a trap door, and there are these wooden stairs leading steeply downward into a like stone and dirt walled like corridor.
At that moment, you hear from the lobby very clearly the Lighthammer theme song blasting from some speakers.
I'm gonna turn my head towards the lobby, towards the door, and then just briefly ignore it and look back down into this hole. Can I see that I can see that this hole was used recently? Is there dirt moved down there?
Yeah, you can see. Let's just put some clear footsteps in the dust heading down, and then I think you hear that same voice just go, "Yeah, that's employees only."
Okay.
And then I walk in
from the distance, from like outside the other room.
Yeah.
I walk in. I'm like, Ryder Typhon, I've been looking for you.
Felix. Now, keep in mind, Felix is out of costume. He's in his street clothes. He looks at Lighthammer, looks around real quick, and goes, "Who are you?"
Lighthammer, can you take a powerful blow?
Yeah, I'll take a powerful blow. That's a 3. We're good.
Okay, so what does that look like?
I just like wince outwardly, and I'm like, and I turn off. I press a button on my helmet, and you see the little light that you didn't even realize was on turn off, and I'm like, dude, I know that you know who I am. I'm Lighthammer, but like that's not great for my viewers. So let's take that again, and maybe do you want to like get in costume really fast, or
I'm actually going to stand up and go, you know that my identity is a secret. You know that. Why would you do what you just did?
Well, I assumed if you were following a lead, you'd be in costume.
Why would I be in costume trying to ask villains where another villain is? Why would that make sense? I'm sure the guy outside the thing is hearing all this.
I look at you and I'm like, are you not always in costume?
No, damn it. Now I've got loose ends to tie up. Problems for later. Anyways.
Don't worry, there's a 45-second delay. I'll just stop the feed from going out. I press a button.
Worried. He interjects and says, I'm not worried about your feed. I'm worried about the kid outside who just heard you call me Ryder Typhon. Wonderful. And then at that instant, the armor just shifts over my body.
Since you're both in costume now, can we get like each of you describe what? Like, let's get one big panel that has both you in costume. Just describe what you look like in that panel.
So even in the light of this like flashy fluorescent lit room, my costume is glimmering and shining. It's a silver spandex suit with gold accents for the most part. Underneath the armored shoulders with gold with teal accents, a gold and teal helmet. I've got on gold and teal gauntlets, and I carry slung over my shoulder currently a large gold and teal hammer. My armor is constantly shining, like always shining and glimmering, and the spandex suit is cut in a very, very low V to expose most of my pecs and many, many abs.
I wouldn't put it past Lighthammer to have like strategically hidden LEDs in the costume, so it's literally always shining.
Oh, absolutely. I also like inside the helmet have like a couple of those like computer cleaning claws, the like microfiber claws, and like in between panels is like shining up wherever dirt hits me.
Excellent. And Ryder.
Ryder in full costume. It looks like a very spiky golden bugman. His helmet, his full armor. He's actually in his advanced armor form. He's got 3 spikes coming off of each shoulder plate. He's in full golden, almost insect-like plate armor from head to toe. From I say neck to toe. He's wearing a kind of, it's almost a gaudy looking belt, but you can tell like that's where the power, it like wraps around his body. It's gold in with a large buckler in the center. Where he, like, whenever he transformed, he sets his phone there and it transforms into a belt and it wraps around him. He actually has, his helmet is like insect-like in design. It has bug eyes, but it's covered in like a medieval face mask type deal, so you can still see the eyes through it. And then it's got 2 horns coming off the side, kind of racing backwards, like almost like antenna, but they're very solid golden horns coming off his thing. He does not shine. The armor is very much just golden type armor.
So the advanced armor look, was that what started happening after the godlike beauty?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what happened. That's what
I
began
thought that's
happening.
what that was. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Cool.
beforehand there were no spikes. There's also spikes on the arms, kind of like Batman style spikes, like going backwards, that weren't there beforehand. Like anyone who has seen the old Rider armor would have noticed that there was a particular lack of spikes and whatnot. And he also has a cape draping off his back as well.
Okay, excellent. And something I probably should have done before game. Lighthammer. Have you been we talked about this, and basically Ryder has been it's news amongst the superhero community that Ryder is looking right. Felix hasn't been subtle about asking within the hero community, and this is probably where you picked this up. Have you been doing your own research and searching and such not to try and find leads on Dark Rider before this point?
I've mainly been doing research to find what Ryder's been asking about, to find Ryder. I don't really care that much about Dark Rider. I've just been like trying to track Ryder down.
Okay, cool. So we get that panel with both of you just kind of standing on opposite sides of the room, and then I think we get another panel and we hear the same little voice from outside just go, "Hi, how can I help you?"
I'm gonna walk up to Ryder and pull out that microfiber cloth from inside my helmet and just like quickly just like rub it on his like armor really fast, like look for a couple of really dirty spots and be like, hold on, before we turn on the camera, just 1 second, and like unsmudge the eyes a little bit.
You gotta get that smudge right on Ryder's abs.
Oh, of course, absolutely. And there's a moment where like I think the hand lingers a little bit too long.
You know those.
Yeah,
I was going to say, you know those
like,
panels in manga and certain anime that show up with a clear, just a sign of disgust popping up? Ryder has that right now because of Lighthammer touching his armor. Where
I love that. I like pull off and I'm like, all right, ready for take 2?
You do you. And then Ryder's head turns towards the door and says, "But we need to hide now." I'm going to look around the room to see if there's any place I can like hide outside of just dropping into the shaft or into the.
There's a couple like chest freezers you could hide behind, and there are a couple like walk-in freezers. And then I think at that point we get the voice from outside going, "Have a nice day."
Ryder hears that and is like, "Okay, no worry about hiding. I'm about to follow," and he doesn't even say anything at this point, but he just walks over. Hearing that guy say "Have a nice day," he walks over to the hole that he has opened up, and he starts walking down, kind of creeping down that to see if he has completely lost his trail because of the interruption from Lighthammer.
What is Lighthammer doing?
I'm just gonna follow, but I do take the hammer off my back, and I'm like holding it in one hand now.
Okay, excellent. So we get a couple panels of you all going down this staircase, and it's kind of inconceivably long. I imagine it's like it's like a half page of just panels of you at various steps going down deeper and deeper into the staircase, and like we got to get that classic like it's showing the dirt around the staircase, and like you're seeing a skeleton here and there kind of deal. And then it opens up into a like large cave chamber. Like,
what do we see in this chamber?
There's we got like straight up stalactites, stalagmites, like dripping water. There's a little stream running through, and it is lit very dimly with these occasional like glass orbs that are just glowing with this dim light, kind of set into recesses in the rock. And by that I mean literally set there. They're not installed. They're just kind of set in cracks and crannies. They can be picked up to provide like a small amount of light with you. And we
gotta worry about that. We got a light hammer behind us.
True. And there is like a couple smaller tunnels, but one like obvious this is the main walkway tunnel leading out. And you can hear hushed voices kind of echoing down that tunnel. We get just kind of a couple wispy words like, I think I lost him. No, it was that rider guy. Yeah, no, I think I lost him.
I'm gonna press a button on my suit, and essentially I'm going to kind of take their sound, and it's almost like I extended a microphone into their area, but just enough to like that on the speakers on my suit, we can hear it a little bit clearer, and we can hear the words they're saying slightly louder.
Okay, excellent. And Ryder
is actually going to kind of creep down that way. Can he judge how far they are?
With the echoes, it's very hard to tell because of the sound.
Yeah, I'm afraid of running into an ambush. Not like I couldn't handle it, but I look to Lighthammer and I turn around and say, "Can you turn your lights down? Don't want them seeing us before we enter."
Then when we get the panel of Lighthammer, we have like the little voice coming out of the speaker. Where is that speaker on your suit? Like where are those words coming from?
In my shoulder pads.
Oh, cool. So we get like little word bubbles coming out of your shoulders.
Yeah.
We get that the voice from before that just says, okay, yeah, no, I'll set up a guard duty here. And then there's a pause, and like obviously they're listening to a reply, but nothing comes out. And it says, yeah, I understand. I understand how important the ritual is. It won't be interrupted. And then from the speakers we hear some like clinking of metal, and then an obvious like gun cocking sound.
Light looks up and down Lighthammer and goes and then says quickly, "Is that suit bulletproof?"
I wish it was, but absolutely not.
All right, then hang back. At this point, Ryder wants to ambush them, but he's not sure how long the tunnel is. Can I begin to super speed down the tunnel?
Hey, before you do that,
yes,
I've got those sonar scanning goggles. Can I just like look down the hallway and see where the vibrations are coming from, see how far they are?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I didn't know you had that power.
So we get like a couple panels of like sonar vision through Lighthammer's eyes, and we kind of like see the whole corridor and like see, various mathematical angles on the sounds. And then we get this little rangefinder that pops up, and it's just like 150 yards.
Perfect. Before we get the panel where I tell him that, we do get a panel of like the sonar vision turning off, and I do like kind of check him out of the side of my eye. There's a definitely like up down examination, and it's like dim lighting. Ryder looks really great in dim lighting.
While that sonar panel is up, do we see a small live icon in the side?
It says recording. It does not yet say live.
Okay.
I do realize that this is like slightly important, and that I could really fuck this up if I was an idiot. So
the Lighthammer's slightly smarter than Max.
Yeah. However, I did absolutely like upload a short video of him walking down the stairs in front of me when we were walking down the stairs, of like the caption like, "Finally getting the team up you all have been asking for. Hashtag Ryder Typhon. Hashtag team up. Hashtag Lighthammer."
Okay, excellent.
But yeah,
you posted that?
About 150 yards down. That's where the person will be. And then I turn off all the lights on my suit. There's like one little red light of the recording still glowing.
Oh yeah, so we get this panel where it's just both of you incredibly dimly lit, only by those orbs in the wall and that one red light. So Ryder, what you do?
Ryder actually looks and goes 150 yards, eh? All right. Puts his hand out in front of him, and his sword just appears there in his hand.
Does your sword look any different now?
It's honestly no, it's the same. It looks
Oh, this is the first
identical.
time in the solo series we've gotten a picture of your sword. What's that look like?
It is the handle looks like a leather wrapped handle with it looks like I would say just a bastard sword. It's like a hand and half sword. It's fairly large, but the blade is actually looks like a black metal, and the edge all around it is coated in gold.
Nice. Okay. Cool. I'm actually going to go ahead and just have us enter battle against a dangerous foe now, because I don't want to interrupt the action when it happens. And I don't think the answers to these questions are going to terribly change before then. So, who is the leader?
Ryder.
Okay. Yep.
Does the rider have influence over every teammate?
No.
Note that
Nope.
you can choose to give influence over someone at any time if you feel it's appropriate.
At
No,
this
not
point,
yet.
no.
Ryder, what is your purpose in the fight?
My purpose in the fight is to capture and obtain information.
Okay, and Lighthammer, what is your purpose in the fight?
Make an exciting fight and make a good partner ally.
That does not sound like the same purpose. Okay.
No,
Does
it
any
does
team member mistrust the leader or the team? Ryder, do you mistrust Lighthammer?
No.
Lighthammer?
Nope.
Okay, and is your team ill-prepared or off-balance?
I don't think so. I think we're about as prepared as we could have been.
I think you are explicitly more prepared than the people you were going up against, since they do not think you're here.
Okay.
Since you just found out the guy thinks he lost you, so we are at 3-team. Cool.
Sweet.
Ryder, what are you doing?
I'm actually going to look at Lighthammer and ask, could you pinpoint where he was at with that sonar?
I can get pretty close. I can like triangulate it to about a 10-foot range. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, massively.
Okay, tell us
yeah.
what this looks like on the page, and then unleash your powers.
Sure. I look down the hall, and we see the golden, looking through the golden glass on the hammer, on the helmet, and then this like wave of sound comes out and bounces back down the hall. And as it bounces back, the entire hall is kind of illuminated almost. It like we see the outline of the entire dark hallway. And
Is it like lit up in like a gold look, like your same gold, or is it a different color?
yeah, it looks like it's like gold outlined. Everything
Okay,
comes up
cool. I
and there's
like
like
that.
gold outline back. And there's a like gold circle near the end of it, slightly to the left side of that hallway, at about 10 feet across. Of like he could be anywhere in this range.
Cool. Go ahead and unleash your powers. All right, on an 8, either mark a condition, or I'll tell you how it's unstable or temporary.
I think I'm gonna mark a condition.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna mark insecure. This is the first time that I have fought with this person, and he's not as impressed as my other people that I fought with, and I'm like, this isn't what's supposed to happen right now.
I like it. So we get that circle kind of within that 10-foot area, and then we see a couple more angles of the gold hit and illuminate, and then the circle moves and pinpoints an exact location, and then we see 6 other circles pop up around this you get this layout of like a round room, like a roundish cave room at the end of this corridor, and you know the exact position of all 7 people within it.
Great. So, hey, Ryder, there's 7 people down there. I can tell you where each of them are, but there are a bunch of them.
Good. Then this might be fair.
That was such a good line.
I'm gonna give him influence over me.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
I look at him, I'm like, how's your range?
Ryder like crouches down into like a sprinter's position and looks and turns his head and the helmet and looks at Lighthammer and goes, I can be everywhere at once. And then all of a sudden, as he says that, he just He vanishes and pushes as hard as he can into that room. And the idea, and I know I'm going to have to unleash my powers or directly engage a threat. The idea is as he enters that room, there's going to be a panel that is looking down on the room. And he's basically going to just pop in front of each of the individuals and disarm them and try to take them out as quickly as possible. And then try to, in that same panel, you're going to see like copies of him just pop up around the room as he's moving quickly, disarming them and then pinning the last one to a wall. The one that was running from him.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is 3 of them that are very close to the entrance. Yeah, we get the panels of you just disarming them. Like, what are you doing with their weapons? They're all holding assault rifles.
I'm actually breaking them. Like,
okay, cool.
Grabbing the front and completely snapping them before I.
So we get like 3 quick panels of you snatching guns out of their hands, and then a panel of like these 3 broken assault rifles in the ground, and then we get the other 4 spinning and just filling the room with bullets. Like their friends that you just like their coworkers that you just disarmed are just gunned down. They're just indiscriminately spraying the room. What are you doing? So the whole we go from quiet and dark to just outrageous flashes of gunfire and just loud echoes throughout the entire hall. Lighthammer, is your sonar still on?
Yep.
So you're seeing this at least through the sonar.
You are seeing this, and it is getting unbearable because of how loud it is. I assume you have like dampeners. Those probably kick in and like muffle everything.
Yeah, it's like I've got dampeners.
So Ryder, his armor actually doesn't really just kind of bounces bullets off of it. So he's not too worried about the actual bullets. I mean, unless one punches him in the solar plex or something, which would hurt, but not kill. And he basically is, as the other 4 are doing that, he kind of will, because he took out the first 3, and then he just rushes. He's going to continue his rush, and he wants to disarm the first 2. But he wants to disarm them so they're not actually killing each other, because he needs at least one of them alive. So he's going to try to take care to disarm the other 4 without getting any of them killed.
Cool. I want you to go ahead and unleash your powers.
Okay. Because I am pulling my punches and not trying to kill them, can I roll Savior instead?
Yes, you can.
Beautiful. That's a good roll.
Yeah, it is. So give us the panels where you're disarming and knocking out.
So the first 2, when I pop up, I'm actually, I pop up, they start rolling their bullets at me. I say rolling. That's not the word. They're shooting their bullets at me. And I basically, all you see is me appear in front of the 2 on the right. I grab both their guns and snap them, and then take what's left of their guns and just pop them in the head. They're knocked out. And then then of course you see the speed lines where he just goes around, he blurs. He kicks the third one's legs out from underneath him and just kind of, I guess, karate chops, but more or less elbows them to the ground. They're knocked out. And then he takes the last one, grabs the weapon, throws it against the wall, shattering it, and then grabs them by the front of their shirt. And then just next thing you see is him being slammed against the wall. Boom. And it leaves a little bit of a crack in the wall, like kind of a crater-ish thing. But he takes care not to knock this individual out. Just hurt him.
Excellent. Lighthammer, what are you doing during all this?
After I see that everything is, like, after he slams the last one against the wall, I'm going to come down the hall, and I'm going to, like, essentially send a blast of really high-pitched sound and disable any walkie-talkies, any communication devices, and, like, essentially send a high enough pitched wave of energy to just stop any communication out of the room.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and unleash your powers. So I think what we get is we've got Ryder holding this last guy, and it's the guy who's chasing, up against the wall. And we see the radio on this guy's like belt, say a status report, and then we get this blast. So are you marking a condition, or do you want it to be unstable or temporary?
I think it's got to be unstable or temporary.
Okay, and then what does this blast look like?
It's I press a button on my, actually I like squeeze my gauntlets and open them up, and the gauntlet essentially just sends out this wave of sonar, and in the wave you can see the Lighthammer theme song, like the words of the Lighthammer theme song.
I love it.
In tiny, tiny, tiny letters. It's essentially blasting like the Lighthammer theme song like 6 octaves up from where it normally is, and just like wiping any communication device in the room.
Yeah, and as this wave hits the people on the ground, like each of their radios just shatters. Like there's a blast of sparks, and they just kind of like have a small explosion.
And then I'm gonna go up to one of the other ones, and I'm going to like search on his body and like see if there's like any identifying information about who he's working for or anything like that.
Awesome. We'll jump back to that in a sec. So we're going to cut to the panel of Ryder holding this guy up against the wall. He has like let's give him a nice like scar across his eye. That feels right. And he's just kind of struggling against you a little bit, and then just kind of goes a little limp. Just like, please don't kill me. I'm just doing my job, man.
Where is Hayun?
Who the hell is that?
Where is Hayun? And actually, I pull back and boom, slam him against the wall again.
Cool. I want you to go ahead and pierce the map.
Yay! That was beautiful. Okay, sure, that works.
Okay. You slam him against the wall, and he starts to say something. Like we get the words and then his head just hits the wall, and like his eyes roll back into his head, and he just passes out or gets knocked out.
Damn it!
And goes limp in your hands.
He literally said, "Damn it!" and then throws him into the ground. We need to tie these folks up. We got anything in the room that can do that? As I look around the room, and I'm speaking to Lighthammer when I'm saying that.
Oh, we're gonna cut a panel over to Lighthammer, and Lighthammer's like, quickly searching through, and the only identifying thing you can find in these people is a small metal pin in each of their collars that has the symbol of the Cult of the White Death.
Do I know what that is? Or I probably don't. I got these pins. They all have belts we could tie them up with.
And as Lighthammer's saying that, like we see the little crackle out of your speakers. I'm just going to assume you're doing like sonar sweeps and like you have just enhanced hearing in general.
Yep.
And we get this little out of your speaker coming from, a further down in the corridor. We see these really small words that say, "All units move in position. We have an incursion."
Hey, we got people coming. We got company. We should either get ready to attack or we should leave because it sounds like there are... How many people do I see down the hallway with the sonar?
You don't see them. You're just hearing these, the voices bouncing down several halls.
We got people coming. I don't know how many, but we got some company.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at Icy New Year, or at icynewyear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. They can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter, or at TPHuth94 on Instagram. Faces is GM by me, Anthony Sheets. Lighthammer is played by T Huth. Ryder Typhon is played by Kaido Kane. Kaido is a Twitch personality and loves their 3 mischievous cats. You can find them at the Versian on Twitter, and as Kaido Kane on Twitch.tv. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music in this issue is Prelude in Action by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.